Hey everybody, thank you for clicking on this video. I hope it's informative to you. What I want to do is tell you about my new toy. I got a new camera for Christmas. It's the GoPro MAX, and as you can see, mine's already out of the box. This isn't an unboxing video. It's not a setup video. I want to tell you my experiences with this camera, good and bad, and let you kind of get a little bit of a first-time user's experience with this camera, and I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. I am a total beginner to action cameras. I've never had a GoPro before of any sort, no action cameras. I'm totally new, especially to 360 cameras, so I'm jumping right in on the deep end with this GoPro MAX, and I know that. So if you're watching this and you've got more experience with these cameras and you're thinking, well, why is he doing it like that, or his problem is this? Yeah, you're probably right. So please be merciful. This is just my experience as a first-time user, and I'm going to tell you kind of, what obstacles I ran into and also what kind of good results I've had, because I've had a lot of fun with this camera. So since I am such a beginner on this, I'm really not the best person to tell you about all the features and how to use this and how to make the best use of it. If you want to learn more about that kind of thing, I would say check out Abe Kislevitz. I think he works for GoPro, and he's done some great tutorial videos on reframing and a great demo on the stabilization. So I'll either put those in the cards up above somewhere here, or I'll put them in the description below. But those are a great resource to check out for learning more in depth about the camera itself from an expert. All right, to begin with, I'll tell you the good things about this camera, the things that I like about it, and why I'm going to keep it and keep using it. It's given me some incredible footage that I wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. I don't like to get my phone out when I'm riding. I'm not good with photography in general, so the GoPro Max is great because I can put it on my bike and it just shoots in all directions, and I can reframe afterwards and edit down the footage to the good stuff and get rid of the garbage. And it's really given me some really cool shots, and you can see that in some of my videos. For instance, I reviewed the Pirelli Cinturato tires recently, and I put some footage in there that I got while I was riding. And also my wall control video was shot pretty much entirely on the GoPro Max in hero mode. It wasn't optimized, I didn't have the video settings quite right, but it still came out quite good. So overall, it's really cool. It's the kind of product that is almost like a little bit like a dream, because it's hard to believe that we can have this technology where we can get a 360-degree video, high quality, and then be able to reformat that and choose your camera angles after the fact. It's the sort of thing that would have been impossible a few years ago, so I think it's really cool in that regard. So let me show you some of the footage that I've gotten, some of the stuff that's really kind of shows the strengths of this camera and why it's really cool. So let's check it out. I have the camera mounted on my bike using this GoPro mount, and this is actually like a handlebar mount, but for me I found that it was actually better to put it on the stem. So I actually put it on the stem and then rotate the mount 90 degrees so that it's facing forward, and I actually angled the camera downwards a little bit so that the stitch line doesn't go through my face when I'm riding the bike. Okay, so this footage is actually accidental footage. I didn't realize the camera was running. This is one of those cases where I started it and it was running and I just didn't know it. So I got home and I'm putting my bike away in the garage. And keep in mind that the camera is mounted on my stem this whole time. So anything that you see where there's a pan or a change in the view, that's all done in the post-processing. And also notice that even though I'm moving my bike around and bumping into stuff, the camera image remains very still and stable. There's no tilting, and it keeps a nice stable horizon. Here I actually aimed the camera view downwards so I could show me removing accessories from the bike. So I take my GPS off there, and then the headlight, and eventually I unscrew the thumb screw for the GoPro. You can also see that there's a stitch line through the stem, because I have that stem mount. You can see that there's a little bit of an offset where the stitching close to the camera on the bottom is not perfect. I unscrew the camera, and then I pull it off the mount, and it's just in my hand. I'm tilting it every which way. Remember, I don't know the camera's running at this point. So everything that you're seeing here is done in the post-production, like in the editing. I'm just keeping a constant view forward here. The camera's tipping and tilting, and you can see the stitch line flying around there because I'm just holding the camera any which way. And you can also see too that there's flaws in the up-close stitching, but further away it's better. Another thing that's good about this is the audio quality on the GoPro MAX is great. If I'm riding my bike, you can hear me narrating, talking, so like from a vlogging perspective, especially in a noisy environment, it's really cool. I've been super impressed with how good the sound quality is.
If you're being chased and you want to lose them, this little cul-de-sac here is a good place to do it, because you ride in here and there's no way out. But wait, there's like 2 secret exits. One up ahead there on the right, and I rode past the one I want. This guy right here just disappear. We've had so much confusion on group rides going into this cul-de-sac because people who know the route take the little sidewalk. Everybody else rolls in there a little bit later and they're like, what? Where'd they go?
Alright, so here's another quick video that shows how you can not only hear me speaking, but also my friend Robert is riding next to me, and I've got the camera looking to the side, and you can hear him perfectly well too as we converse on the ride.
Now it's recorded, I think.
So it's getting your carbon too, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, no matter which way I point it, it's gonna, if it's above the Garmin, it's gonna see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, so the next thing that I think is really cool about the GoPro MAX is that even in 360 mode, the nighttime footage is really pretty good. And this next video I'm going to show you is, I think, with ISO set to 400 max, and it's pitch dark out. It's pre-dawn, but you can still see really well in the video. Alright, so this is early morning. It's like before 7 a.m. in the winter, and it's super dark out. And the only light is the street lights and my 2 headlights. I got one on the bars and one on my helmet. But you can see that there's not only, can you see the street well, but you can also see a little bit of the light in the sky, and it looks really natural. I mean, this to me looks like how it looked when I was riding, so I'm super impressed with this. And again, everything that you see in terms of panning and changing angle is done in the reframing in the GoPro app. So like I can look at that guy walking his dog there. And as we ride up to these storefronts, you can see that the exposure time is fairly long, so there's a little bit of blurring in the lights because of the vibration. But otherwise, notice how stable the picture is. It's rock solid, even though the bike is tilting. You can see my Garmin moving around there with the motion of pedaling. And when I make this right turn here, I'm going to pan up, look at my face. You can see me look around the corner. I'm going to make my right turn, and I swing the camera back around to face forward again. So you can see this camera is capable of some really cool footage and really awesome shots, and I'm really excited to be using it, so I love it. Now let's talk about some of the things that aren't so good. When I first got the camera, getting this thing to connect to my phone was a bitch, to be frank. It's just, I don't know what the deal is. It's like a Bluetooth connection initially, and then it switches over to Wi-Fi, and it's still very touch and go when I try and connect this to my phone. When I do get it connected, it works great. You can actually kind of look through the phone and do like a virtual magic window thing, and you monitor what the camera sees. You can also download the files and then edit them on the phone. But getting it to connect is hit and miss, and I have to do usually several tries to get the phone to connect to the camera. Also, the thing that really has been making me crazy on this camera are the buttons. There's a shutter button on the top and a power button on the side, and theoretically you can turn this thing on with a click of the power button, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I'll try it now, and yeah, see, I click the power button, it doesn't turn on. I try again, it doesn't turn on. So, I mean, am I clicking it too fast? I don't know. I mean, like, is it a press and hold? If I press and hold, yeah, it turns on. Okay. For sure, to turn it off, it's supposed to be a press and hold. The other thing that the camera has is the shutter button, and the shutter button, when the camera is off, you can actually press this and do a quick capture, and it'll bring it up in whatever mode you select, time-lapse or hero mode or 360, and it should, I'm still waiting for the camera to power off. When you click this, it should start that quick capture mode. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to click this guy, and we'll see if it works. Okay, so that time it worked great, and it's actually shooting 360 video right now. Click again, and it stops. But I'll tell you right now that there are a lot of times when you can click that shutter button and nothing happens. There we go. So I clicked it there. It's not doing anything, right? Click it again. Nothing, right? So when you're out on a ride and you're trying to get that quick capture to work, it's maddening because, you know, it worked great the first time. Now it won't. It's like, come on, shoot some video for me. Clicking and clicking, clicking, you know, and it just make you insane, right? So I don't know what the deal is with the buttons on this. The power button, again, you can click it, it doesn't turn on. The shutter button, click it, nothing, nothing. Press a little bit longer, nothing. There, 2 seconds, now it's on, and it's doing quick capture. But I don't want to have to press and hold the button for 2 seconds to get this thing to turn on when I'm trying to do a quick capture. I want to be able to just click it and have it start filming. Voice commands, this camera does have voice commands. If it's turned on and it's idle, you can talk to it. You can say things like GoPro start recording, stop recording, take a picture, things like that, and they work, but not always. And sometimes you have to kind of yell at the thing. Maybe I'm a mumbler. I mean, that's a possibility, but it's cool that it has it, and I've used the voice commands quite a bit, but they also can be kind of infuriating. So what ends up happening for me is that I've got the camera running or not running, and I can't tell what state it's in because the screen will go into like a sleep mode after a while. And, you know, when you're on a ride, you can't see these little dim red LEDs on it. So I don't know. Is it filming? Is it not filming? There's been a lot of times when I've thought it was off, and then I get home and I've got like 16 or 30 minutes of me just riding around doing nothing because the camera was running. Another thing that has been bugging me about this camera is the workflow, especially for Android and Windows. I think if you have an iPhone and a Mac, or if you have a PC with Adobe Premiere, then the workflow is probably better. But if you have an Android phone and Windows PC and you don't use Adobe Premiere, the workflow is kind of broken right now. You have to edit the video on your phone, which works, and that's how I've been doing things. But the Android app is a little buggy. You know, like I'll be putting in keyframes and editing, and then the thing will just freeze, and you have to back out of the video and save the draft and then go back in and then start editing again. And sometimes when you're clicking and dragging the timeline, you'll see that it'll jump forward and jump back, and then it hunts around and finally comes to the point where you clicked. So there's something funny going on with that app. Now, admittedly, my phone is old. It's an older LG G6. The memory is pretty full, so maybe a newer phone, less full memory would probably help that a lot, I think. But that's been kind of a frustration too. Is that like the editing works, but it takes patience, and you know, if you expect it to just be flawless right away, it's probably not going to. You're gonna have to fiddle with it a little bit. But yeah, it's been a really cool camera, and the thing that I like best about it is the stabilization. You know, I can be riding and the thing will shoot video, and then you get back home and it's like everything is leveled out, and if once you pick a camera angle, it holds it regardless of the actual motion of the camera itself. So it's an amazing piece of technology, and it's really cool in that regard. GoPro maybe kind of brought this product to market really quickly, or I know they had the Fusion before this, but I think they kind of did a quick spin, improved the Fusion a little bit, fixed some of the major issues that the Fusion had. I think some of the stitching, you know, was not in the camera and that kind of thing. You know, it's not as polished as it will be. I think that over time they're going to improve the firmware, and I also think that the next camera that GoPro does, the next 360 camera, will probably be that much better. Even just looking at this camera, you can see that like the way this is designed, the cameras are offset. You compare that with like the Insta360 One X, and the cameras are back to back. They're truly lined up, and I think that is why that camera has maybe superior stitching, and also because that camera is slimmer front to back. I think that it makes it easier to hide the selfie stick, things like that. Although this does a pretty good job of hiding that. So to me, it's like GoPro did a pen, pineapple, apple pen, and they just stuck two GoPro cameras together, which makes sense to me. I mean, they're leveraging their considerable experience with conventional action cameras, right? If I worked at a GoPro, that's what I would do too. I'd say, well, why don't we just stick two of our really good cameras together, and then we'll figure out how to work out this offset lens thing in the stitching. And it pretty well works. There are some artifacts, like you can see when it's on my stem on my bike, that there's a little bit of a stitch line and an offset in the video. But mostly it works pretty well. So overall, the GoPro Max is pretty cool. Would I get it again? Yeah, I would. I'm happy to have it, and I'm going to keep using it. But I just want to kind of put this out there because if you look at YouTube and you look at the reviews for this thing, it's all like GoPro Max, super stabilization, and GoPro Max, best 360 camera yet. And, people are kind of talking about all the good things about this camera, which there are a lot. But there's also I think not a fair representation of the stuff that's not quite ready yet. Even if you go to the GoPro website and you look at their reviews, I think they posted all the 4 and 5 star reviews, and I think they're filtering everything else, to be honest. Because if you look at their support forum for the Max, for sure, the issues that I mentioned, like the buttons not responding and other little things like that, there's a lot of issues that are showing up that people are talking about. And I think it's, I think that this product still has some ways to go. It's not surprising. I think that's the nature of electronics nowadays, is that people put the hardware out there, and then the firmware and the software gets kind of sorted out and refined over the next few months. And that's true of like Garmin computers and I'm sure previous GoPro models that are just conventional action cameras, probably the same thing. So yeah, be aware if you go to buy this, there's going to be some pending refinements coming up. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you're shopping for the GoPro Max, I hope that I showed you some stuff that maybe you didn't see elsewhere in some other videos. And if you like this, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to try and keep updating and giving more information. And especially like on this camera, if you have questions or if there's something I didn't cover and you're curious about it, let me know, because I'm happy to shoot more video and provide more material in the future.